Alright everybody, welcome back! So I know I'm a little bit late, but this thing is here by popular demand. This is the JA37D, also known as the D Viggen. This plane got added this patch, Apex Predators. Been out for probably about 2 or 3 months now, and I just got around to covering it, so I hope y'all forgive me. But this plane right here is the Viggen on some massive steroids. So the JA37C, the original Viggen that was in the game, has been in for quite a while now, and it hasn't really changed since it got added. It still has its 2 sky flashes and then 4 AIM-9Js, and that's pretty much all it is to it. They did give the flares a little bit of a buff. They made them large caliber. That's pretty much all it is. Now, the D-Viggen gains access to over 300 of those large caliber countermeasures, in comparison to the only 48 that the 11.01 has. It also gains access to up to 6 AIM-9Ls, which is the best short-range air-to-air missile in the game currently, at least in my opinion. These things are 30 Gs, they're all aspects, they have great range, they have like AIM-9G range with massive pull. Their flare resistance is not what it used to be. I'm going to be honest with y'all, I had a pretty hard time getting footage for this just because people kept accidentally flaring my missiles when someone else would fly by. They feel like... I mean, I don't know if they'd say that they're like as bad as the R60M, but they're not what they used to be when it comes to flare resistance. Now, if you ignore that, the actual performance of the missile is amazing, and they still will ignore people's flares if they are afterburning. So they just don't do the funny, completely ignore someone's flares whenever they are, zero throttle flaring and turning at the same time anymore. And don't get me wrong, it's a very good thing. I think the AIM-9L was like incredibly overperforming before. That was basically AIM-9M. So it being flareable now is really, really nice, actually. Just made it a little bit frustrating getting footage for this is all. Now, you still do have the Sky Flash. To be honest with y'all, I wouldn't really recommend using it. I am going to show it off a little bit later. But at least in my opinion, having the surprise aspect of these 6 AIM-9Ls is really nice, especially since it's on a platform like this. Now, you basically get the F-16 loadout with... I don't know how I put it. Personally, I would rather be in the F-16, even though I don't enjoy flying the F-16. The Viggen, I'm not a huge fan of how it flies. It's decently quick. But it's also a Delta, so it does have better high-speed energy retention than something like the Kafir or the Draken. But once you get to lower speeds, it does bleed away all of its speed, just like the others. And to me, at least, it feels like the acceleration doesn't feel as good as it used to. I don't know if something changed or if I'm just remembering wrong, but it feels like it takes quite a bit to get back up to speed, and you just don't really get to most of the time in this case. Now, if you're in a 1v1, it's really nice because you can dump your speed, get behind someone, and then launch a 9L at them. And then there's a decent chance, as long as they keep burning, that that it'll connect. And regardless, you can still try and get a gunshot or something. This thing has a nice gun, but like in this case, it's not the fastest thing anymore. You can see the ML was easily outrunning me, so I just go ahead and go up just because I'm running out of fuel. You can see I'm actually about to run out while I'm getting close to chasing this guy down. But luckily, he is distracted by the other ML over there, so I can just swoop on in and get the kill using this gun. Now, it does not have tracers, for those of y'all who haven't used the Viggen before, or the other Swedish stuff. Pretty much all of them don't have tracers, just because, I mean, I guess the Swedish didn't use tracers in real life, so it does make learning how to aim the gun a little bit difficult. Once you get it down, though, it is excellent. It does lots of damage, and I think it fires the same shells as the A-10, is that slower velocity is what I heard. Or slower fire rate, I should say. Now, of course, like I said, AIM-9Ls, excellent missiles. You can see in this case that EJ Kai does keep burning when he flares, and so it actually goes for him. The Tornado, I don't see him flare. I think he actually just outrolled it, which is pretty impressive. And this entire thing is happening after being crit by that F4J. I don't know if it's just because the Viggen is relatively tanky or just because the 20 on the F4J is a master shotgun, but I do survive those rounds. You can see it does not want to stay in the air. Even though it survived it, it's definitely not going to handle this very well, and then I do get domed by an ML, unfortunately. But now, here's that Sky Flash I was talking about earlier. This thing is a slightly improved AIM-7E2. All it has, as far as I'm aware, is just basically the AIM-7F Seeker Head on the AIM-7E2. So it's a little bit harder to chaff, but the range is still not great. I got lucky there. The MiG-29 just basically flew straight. Your missiles if you're using the Sky Flash, you basically want to fire them in the head-on at about 3 to 5 kilometers, and that's pretty much it. If you fire from further away than that, it's incredibly easy to kinematically dodge because the thing just, it only has, I think, like 4.5 seconds of burn time or something like that. It's not like an R27 ER or an AIM-7F that'll just keep burning for 15-20 seconds and consistently putting out energy to work with. So you definitely want to use that closer range in those head-on engagements. Personally, I wouldn't even use it just because the AIM-9L is such a good missile. And the Sky Flash these days just really doesn't cut it when it comes to the missile jousts. But if you do want something to use like that, then by all means. And then, once again, that right there is another F-14 flare run missile. So, and we all know the F-14 is incredibly hot, so if that doesn't tell you how much the AIM-9L has been nerfed, then that'll tell you right there. Now, besides that, the Viggen is still a pretty competitive plane when it comes to flight performance against the lower stuff, like the MLD, the F4J, especially Phantoms. You're going to do a great job against them. It just pretty much, it struggles against the newer stuff like the F-14s, the F-16s, and MiG-29s, which you are going to be seeing a lot. I would personally say it struggles a little bit against the floggers as well, but it still has a good chance against them. Unfortunately, I do end up stealing this kill here by accident. I fire the missile right as he gets set on fire. And then, funnily enough, that guy actually team kills me later, but I'm not going to be showing that. Now, you can see right here they did actually recently increase the range that these missiles can lock at. I just got a head-on lock at 5 kilometers on that F4J. That's only on afterburning targets, by the way. So if someone is an afterburner, the AIM-9Ls can lock at much further than that 3 kilometer range or whatever it is in the stat card. I've seen locks as far away as 8 or 9 kilometers in the head-on against like an afterburning F-14. And this clip right here is one of my last ones. I just want to show you what I mean about the energy bleed. You can see I get down to like 600 to 700, and I'm just turning to try and stay alive. I cannot get my speed up. It keeps dropping down to like 500 something. Now, you can pop out your landing flaps. I think I do that here in a second. And the Viggen on landing flaps is really stable. You're actually able to just kind of pull inside people, and it really does help. They only pop out once they get slow enough, so you don't have to worry about ripping them. So what you can do is actually go ahead and deploy your landing flaps, and then just get to that speed, and they'll come out by themselves. But at this point, I'm dead. I'm going like 480. I've got 5 or 6 people all booming and zooming on me. This is the issue you're going to run into a lot of the time when you get into like a sustained dogfight, is that it just doesn't have the energy retention to keep you alive. So you're going to wind up just like this right here with 5 or 6 people until eventually you just get so slow that there's really nothing you can do. At least since you have the AIM-9Ls, it does give you the chance to fire them off at people, when they're not expecting it in the middle of the dogfight, since they are much better than the AIM-9J, but this would definitely not be my first choice for a top tier. Hope you enjoyed the video, and let me know what you think about the Viggen down in the comments below, and peace.